Hello. How are you? I don't know why this feels so awkward. I feel like I haven't turned on the camera to record like a YouTube video in a while, so this feels kind of awkward. It shouldn't feel awkward, but it does. But hello. I hope you're doing well. But anyway, I feel like because my more recent content has been rather tip oriented and like advice oriented and like very like da kind of advice, we haven't really had the chance to talk casually like we used to in my vlog content, which is basically not a thing anymore. So I was thinking we could film like this casual Q&A about learning Korean so that we could still, you know, I can still help you with learning Korean, but it doesn't have to be so scripted, like, because those other videos were very, very scripted. So let's jump into it. First question. What do you look for in a Korean teacher? So there are a few things. The first one, and probably the most important one to me specifically, is that the teacher speaks with a Seoul accent. Like, I think for some people they like wouldn't care, but for me, like, I'm learning standard Korean, like most of you, which means I am trying to learn the Seoul accent. And if the teacher is like from Busan or Jeonju or some province and they speak with that accent, like they are conducting the classes with an accent, because Korean is not my native language, my pronunciation just copies whoever I'm spending time with. So it'll end up sounding mixed if I end up learning from someone who is not speaking or conducting the classes in a Seoul accent. The other thing, which might sound kind of contradictory to what I just said, is that the teacher cannot be nitpicky with my accent. I feel like my accent is, not to sound bad, but like I feel like it's pretty good. So if a teacher's like constantly stopping me to correct this or correct that, then like I kind of just shut down. And that actually goes on with like grammar and vocab and stuff. Like if a teacher consistently stops me during a lesson, I will not book another lesson with them, because then I don't feel comfortable in the course. I will only speak with things that I am 100% confident in, instead of like trying to use new grammar or use new words, because I don't want them to stop me all the time, because I feel like it almost gets in the way with what we are trying to learn in the class. And then the last thing would be that the teacher can teach me on the spot. If we're going through a lesson and the teacher identifies a gap in my learning, I want them to be able to teach it to me right there on the spot, like fill in the gap right here, right now. Because there are teachers that can do that, and then there are teachers that will say like, oh, I will prepare a lesson for next time, which is, you know, that's fine, but I prefer teachers that can just teach it to me right then and there. What would you say is the hardest part about learning Korean? What keeps you motivated? Okay, honestly, I think the hardest part about learning Korean, or honestly any language, is like overcoming self-doubt. I feel like it never ends. When you're a beginner, or at least when I was a beginner, I was very like, will I ever be able to understand this grammar structure? Will I ever be able to remember all these words? Will I ever be able to get past the beginner level? And then once I got to the intermediate level, I was very like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm still so confused. I still can't express myself. And even now, as a like advanced learner, I'm just constantly like, will I ever truly be C1 or C2 in Korean? Will I ever be like as good as a native speaker? My personal definition of fluent is native level fluency, which is really, really hard to achieve. So I'm like to me, I'm not fluent at all. I feel like it's always like, oh, when am I gonna be better? Like, when will I be able to reach that? Like, I don't know. And then I guess when it comes to staying motivated, it's just like always reminding myself how far I've come. So, you know, like a few weeks ago, I didn't know these words and now I do. A few months ago, I wasn't able to express myself in this situation or that situation. Or a few years ago, I could never have imagined that I'd actually be able to like speak Korean at this level, at this fluency level. For that stuff, like you don't even have to be advanced in the language. You don't even have to have been studying for multiple years. Like you can literally just look at what you were doing a few days ago and be like, wow, like maybe you haven't mastered that like grammar structure or that list of words or idioms or whatever, but like you can look at it and be like, I'm so much more comfortable with this content than I was when I started. Whew. Okay, I turned the air conditioner off because it was being very noisy. But if you are a beginner who's really like trying to jump into that intermediate level in Korean, then I'd like to recommend like studying with Story Learning, like their Korean Uncovered level 1 course. Like, don't be fooled. Level 1 does not mean it's easy. To be honest, I feel like their courses are more challenging than you would expect. Now, if you're like, girl, what is this whole Korean Uncovered thing? I have no idea what you're talking about. Korean Uncovered is basically video courses for learning Korean. So their level 1 course has a total of 20 chapters, and each chapter has 6 lessons. Like they go over vocab, grammar, particles, pronunciation, speaking, culture. Like there's so much content just in one course, and the stories that they work off of centered around 2 friends who are traveling around Korea. So if you are someone that is going to like come to Korea as a tourist or come even for like study abroad or something, these are situations that you're likely gonna find yourself in. So I feel like it's very useful content. I've said this before and I will say it again. I really feel like these Korean Uncovered courses are something that I would have not only enjoyed studying with had they been around back when like I was a beginner 8-9 years ago, but I feel like they would have really helped me out, to be honest, especially because at the time I was studying to come to Korea as an exchange student. Like they would have helped me learning how to like go around Korea and stuff, because I remember back then I was so scared to come to Korea. But I am so excited to share with you guys that I am partnering with Story Learning again. So thank you, Story Learning, for sponsoring this part of the video. But I am here to share with you guys that they are offering a limited time discount on their level 1 course. So the course that I've been talking about, you can get it for 50% off. 50% off. So instead of paying the regular $397 for the course, you can get it for $149. So if it's something that you've been considering, you know, because I've talked about it quite a few times, or if you're just hearing about it now and you feel like it would help you, then I highly encourage you to check it out with the link in my description box. Also, like I mentioned the last time I worked with Story Learning, I know a lot of you have already purchased the course, you've already worked through it, so please, please, please feel free to share your own reviews, your own thoughts on the course in the comment section, because your thoughts will help someone who's currently watching this video better decide if this is something that they should invest their time and money into. Anyway, thank you to Story Learning for sponsoring this portion of the video, and let's get back into your questions. What is the most frustrating thing about being an advanced learner who isn't quite fluent? Okay, so I would say the most frustrating thing is that you can feel so fluent in whatever situation you're in, feel awesome, and then immediately walk into a different situation and feel like you've never studied Korean for a day in your life. Feel like you haven't done enough, like you'll never be able to do enough. You have no idea what's going on around you. You have no idea how to express yourself in this new situation. It literally can go like from 100 to 0 or 0 to 100 really fast, and it's like whiplash. How do I increase my reading speed? Okay, so my answer is pretty simple. It's almost to the point where you might find it unhelpful. But my honest answer is think about why you feel that your reading is slow. Like, is it a vocab issue? Like you don't know a lot of the words, so you have to stop to sound it out? Is it a grammar issue? Like you read it and you don't know what's being said? Determine like what reason you think it is and then focus on that. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, but it is what it is. You either need to learn more vocab or you need to learn more grammar. And if you're one of those people that's like, oh, but Natalia, like I know all the words and I know all the grammar, then you're gonna hate me because I'm gonna give you the facts. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. I'm just gonna tell you straight up. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Because if you truly knew all the words and you truly knew all the grammar, you'd be reading faster. You would understand immediately what is being said. So if you're struggling to comprehend or you're being slow, you don't know things as well as you think you do. And that's okay. That's not something to like feel bad about, or like it doesn't mean that you're not able to learn Korean or something like that. It's very possible that whatever words are being used have multiple definitions and you only know one of them or 2 of them, because some of those words have like 5 different definitions. I'm not even joking. It's also possible one of the grammar structures has multiple usages, because those do too, bro. Like, especially once you get to the intermediate and advanced levels, like a lot of those grammar structures have multiple meanings. If you don't know all the ways it can be used, then the sentence isn't gonna make sense to you and you're gonna sit there and be like, what the heck? Is hanja necessary? And if it is, when would I know that I need to learn it? No, you don't need to learn hanja. Like, I think there's maybe like 5 to 10, definitely less than 20 hanja that you might see randomly one day on a blue moon. But other than that, like, you don't need them. Like, to be honest, I'm pretty sure I know more hanja than the majority of the Korean population. Like, I'm not even joking. And if you're like, Natalia, how could that be? Did you study hanja? No, I have never studied hanja. However, I did study Mandarin for 4 years before learning Korean. So all of my knowledge of hanja is from when I studied Mandarin and just being like, hey, that's the same character. You know what? It probably means the same thing. And then it does. because here in Korea, like if you do see hanja used somewhere, like in a newspaper or on a menu, they're the most simple hanja ever. Hanja is basically the same as like Chinese characters. Sometimes they're a little different, but for the most part, they're the exact same. So like if you've ever studied at least beginner Chinese, you already know everything you need to know, if you even want to say that you need those. Which every Korean I've ever asked, being like, do people need to learn hanja? They've all said no. Do you recommend ewha University for Korean language? Okay, so because I don't know anyone personally who has attended ewha for Korean language school, I don't think I should be commenting on their program at all. However, if you are someone that did go to ewha either for Korean language major or for Korean language school, please feel free to share your experience in the comment section. Please specify whether it was a major or language school, because I assume their curriculum is different. And I say that because at KU, the Korean language school curriculum is very different from the Korean language classes that they offer through the actual university. Like if you're an exchange student, the classes you take there are completely different from the classes that are done for intense learners at the Korean language school. Please state which one you were in at ewha if you decide to share your experience. In your early years of learning Korean, did you find watching shows unhelpful? Honestly, yes. So I will admit it will help your Korean sound more native. It could potentially help your pronunciation be better. But I feel like you could learn all that vocab and grammar and whatever else you're saying that you're learning through TV shows through other resources. And it would be more effective and more time efficient. Potentially less enjoyable, you know, if you're watching like K-dramas that are really interesting and fun for you. But like back then in those early years, I was still in university. Like I was trying to manage my classes and my part-time job and trying to find a job after graduation. Like trying to manage all of these things that I was lucky if I was even able to study Korean once a whole week. So if I was gonna study Korean, I needed to be as efficient as possible. Like, and I wasn't gonna spend that watching Korean media or Korean TV shows. How do you study idioms? Example, the grass is always greener on the other side. Okay, I don't. Like, it's been on my to-do list for years, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Like, I have not prioritized it. And if you're wondering, like, but what about when Koreans use them? They don't really use them that much. I don't know if that's because they're talking to me and they just assume that I'm not going to know them, but they don't really use them too much. And when they do use them, it's usually a really, really basic one that I already know. So there's like maybe 10 to 15 super common, super basic idioms that I had to learn for language school. And like, so those ones, I understand when they're used. And then in the case that somebody uses them in conversation that I don't understand, like an idiom I've never heard, they tend to just like explain it to me and we're good. There's no issues. Will I remember that idiom later? No, probably not. They'd have to use it like at least 5 times for me to remember it. But like, it doesn't really interrupt my everyday speaking or conversations. Do you find speaking with teachers easier than talking to natives? No. I think talking to natives is much, much easier and honestly like way less stressful, which might sound weird because teachers are there to help you, but I feel like when it comes to a teacher, because I'm at the advanced level, they're always looking for ways to help me improve, which is like a good thing. But at the same time, I think so many of them aren't used to teaching people that are at my level. Like any mistake I make, I feel like they have a tendency to like grab onto it. And a lot of the times, like the mistakes I make when speaking, I already know it's a mistake. As soon as it comes out of my mouth, I know it was a mistake. I just simply like misspoke like I do in English all the time. It's not like a fluency issue. It's just like my brain is working faster than my mouth is moving. And 2 or 3 of the teachers that I've worked with more recently, like they hear that and they immediately like want to stop me and correct me, or they want to like go back to it later. And it's kind of awkward for me to be like, I know I made that mistake, but it's not because I don't know or I can't do it. It's simply just like misspoke in the moment for whatever reason. So I usually have to just like kind of sit there and be like, oh, okay. So I like talking to natives more these days. Okay, so that is all for this Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. And don't forget, you can get 50% off the Korean Uncovered Level 1 course with the link in my description. I will see you guys next time. So 다음에 봐요, guys. Bye.